What's up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell. Brian Edwards here. We're going to have a great show this Friday and get you ready for the betting weekend. We got another loaded weekend of college basketball, NBA, the NHL, MLB. We've got a boxing fight. We've got MMA. The UFC is showing up. We've got a NASCAR race as well. So, Brian, I can't wait, man.
Yeah, we've got a stacked weekend, all sorts of great games. I mean, we're getting, the calendar's about to turn to March. I mean, we're getting serious about hoops this time of year, and got a loaded NBA slate tonight, and obviously a monstrosity of a college card tomorrow. And want to ask the listeners to please hit the retweet button on our show, spread the word. As we've been saying for a couple weeks now, every Tuesday and Friday, 2 o'clock Central, Alan Bell and I, Bets and Ball Games combo. Spread the word for us. We appreciate it.
I love it, man. So, yeah, everybody, welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell of CBS Sportsline, alongside Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports Picks is brought to you every Tuesday and Friday by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Download the BetMGM app right now. Seriously, do it. If you use promo code A to Z Sports Picks, you receive a risk-free bet of up to $600. Also, today only, BetMGM is offering a 25% college basketball parlay boost for today only. So make sure download that app, get in on the action right here in the show. Once we have the picks up, make sure to get in on that and take advantage of it from BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in Tennessee. For gambling support problems, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, Brian, good to see you again, my man. How you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing great, brother. Happy Friday to you.
And you too, buddy. You too. We got a pretty loaded weekend. The last couple weekends going in, we've had, kind of a little easy on Friday, a little bit on Saturday, and maybe a touch on Sunday. But we've got a loaded board this weekend. So let's just get right to it. Break it down what's going down on the weekend wire. So tonight, got some good games on the board. We've got the Jazz at the Heat. We got the Clippers at the Grizzlies. We got the Trailblazers at the Lakers. We got Southern Illinois at Loyola Chicago on the college board. And we've also got the LA Kings at the Minnesota Wild. So what do you see tonight, man?
Well, I've got an admission to make, Alan. I made a critical mistake. I did not bet the Utah Jazz for the first time in like a month 2 nights ago. And I just was thinking the number was a tad big. LeBron and the Lakers are coming off a bad loss. I figured they'd keep it close. And as usual, Utah dominated. So as usual, I'm going right back to them tonight as I'll be kicking myself. I mean, they're just an automatic play until they cool off. And like you were saying the other day, that you like even when a good streak like theirs ends, which it did against the Clippers on either last Friday night, back to it on Monday. It didn't look good for a while, but they ended up covering by 10 points against Charlotte. And so the streak has started again, and they've covered back to back. But as we've been talking about ever since the show started a couple weeks ago, this run for the Jazz is just really insane. So they are 22-2 straight up in its last 24 games, 21-3 against the spread, and 20 of the 22 wins have been by double-digit margins. And for Miami tonight, now we don't know for sure, but Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, and Bam Adebayo I don't know if he even made the All-Star team, but he's an All-Star to me. I mean, that guy's a stat sheet stuffer. Both those guys are questionable. So if they are without those guys, we're going to coast to another double-digit victory.
I like it. No, and you're right. Like, the Jazz, they really are. UGO Sports, he says in the chat, like the machine, they really are. They are a machine. They're the story of the NBA so far, at least from a betting perspective. So I'm with you. And there's a lot of times where a streak will end and people will jump off the bandwagon. Well, there's a reason why they went on a streak to begin with. So, if you're looking at a 23-4, somewhere around there, and they miss one, jump right back in. It would take a streak of the opposite way for me to start fading them, So I'm totally with you there. I'm looking at Southern Illinois, Loyola Chicago. We talked about it a week and a half ago. I really like the makeup of this Loyola Chicago team, especially in the second half. They're tough. So I like that one. I'm with you, the Jazz and Heat, obviously. You just can't not bet on the Jazz. I mean, it sounds dumb, and it sounds like what a recreational bettor would say, right? Like, the Kansas City Chiefs, like I have to bet on them every week. Well, this is not that story. Like the Kansas City Chiefs didn't hit any spreads. The Jazz are just all over it. So I'm totally with you there. Saturday, let's move to Saturday. We've got a massive slate going on. We've got the Jazz at the Magic, college basketball-wise. We've got Baylor at Kansas, Michigan at Indiana, Texas at Texas Tech, Tennessee at Auburn, Illinois at Wisconsin, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma, Kansas State at West Virginia, Florida State at UNC. We got the Blue Jackets at the Preds locally. We've got a UFC fight night event, and we have boxing. Canelo Alvarez is getting in the ring. We've got a loaded Saturday. It's going to be a great day for sports, especially I don't know who all is here in Nashville where I am, but it looks like it's going to be kind of a rainy weekend. So if anybody's just kind of chilling at the house, Saturday is the day to do it. So, yeah, look at the board. What do you see, Brian? What stands out to you?
Yeah, I like that FSU team, man. They are rolling. They're only -1 at UNC. Well, it leaves them in bounce back mode, which is usually a high motivator. But, man, they looked awful. And I give them props for scheduling the game because their ACC game was nixed because of COVID. And they got a solid program. And I know Marquette's not having the best year, but Marquette came into Chapel Hill and as a 9.5-point underdog. I mean, they just thumped them from start to finish. So I'm not looking at this like Carolina bounce back mode. Are they going to play good? I'm looking at it. Wow, did they look like garbage? And FSU is rolling. FSU has won 9 of its last 10 games, 6 of those wins by double-digit margins. And during this 10-game stretch, they've been an underdog once, and they've been favored – or when they've been an underdog, which was just once, and when they've been favored by 7 points or fewer, they are 5-1-1 against the spread. So I'm going to go with FSU -1 at UNC, and I'm also going to play the over. Now, as we come to you early afternoon on Friday, the only book that has numbers out right now is Circa Sports.
Yeah.
BetMGM will obviously have them soon, but most books don't get their lines out till like late Friday afternoon or even early Friday evening, just because there's such a monster slate on Saturday. So these lines could be different when other books chime in, and then the market does what it will. But for now, the total on the FSU North Carolina game is 150.5. They played an 82-75 game in Tallahassee in January for 157 combined. The over is hitting 4 straight for FSU and is on an 11-2-2 run in the Noles last 15. And the over is hitting 3 straight for UNC and is on an 8-3 run in its last 11. So FSU -1, over 150.5 are my 2 plays for that game in Chapel Hill.
I like it, and I'll say this, looking at the chat, Roy Powers, he brings up an excellent point in terms of that game. So all the money is going to be on Florida State, right? So I want to see where that line goes. And, it's college basketball, so we don't necessarily see massive line movement, either way, unless there's just huge news. But, yeah.
It could be 3 or 4. Yeah. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, it could be a game where Florida State honestly wins by 2, wins by 3. But if I could get North Carolina at 4 or higher, I might play both sides of that because I like what you're saying. Florida State's a much better team. I'm looking at Tennessee, Auburn. I want to see what this Tennessee team is about. It's impossible to bet the Vols because you just don't know what you're going to get. They're inconsistent. However, they're due for a win, but I just don't like them going up against Bruce Pearl in Auburn. Bruce Pearl is just, for any Tennessee fans that are out there, they obviously know what this guy meant, and there's just something weird about going back up against him every time that Tennessee plays Auburn. So it'll be a game that I'll probably play the over. I can see both teams trying to be as aggressive as possible, putting up shots. So we'll see where that number sits. You got it in front of us right here?
Yeah, well, the Vols are 6, but we saw how bad Auburn was without Sharif Cooper, and how good they became for like 3 weeks with Sharif Cooper. Yeah, and then he was out in the Florida game the other I want to say Tuesday night, and the Gators were up by I want to say 20 or 22 at halftime. Yeah, and Cooper is listed as questionable, so that is a huge deal. And I have no idea, if Pearl's playing possum, or Pearl may be sitting him the rest of the year. I don't know how bad this ankle injury is, but if he gets upgraded to probable, I see that number dropping down like to 3. And if they declare him out, I could see it going up to 8-ish. But I agree with your general thoughts that I'm not looking to lay points with Tennessee, especially on the road. But if Cooper doesn't play, I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee wins by 6 or more, because Florida, Auburn never got closer than 15 the other night when Cooper was out. They're just a different team.
Yeah.
It's the wrong direction without him.
Yeah, exactly. And you're exactly right. I mean, that before you place anything like that is a key injury to pay attention to in what his game status is. If I were to do anything, it would probably be the total. If he's playing, I would love to bet the over, because again, and dependent on what total number that we see, but I can see both teams coming out playing aggressive for sure. This weekend is also going to be a little bit of a scouting weekend for me, right? Like, I want to see what these teams are really about before we get to the NCAA tournament. So what I mean by that is this. So we've got Baylor at Kansas. All right, that's definitely a game that I want to watch. I might not bet it. I don't know. It all depends on kind of how I feel in the morning. But I want to see them, right? I want to see Michigan at Indiana. I've got a pretty good feel after watching that Michigan, not only Iowa, what we saw, but Ohio State as well. Those are two very good teams that Michigan just rolled through. They're a fantastic basketball team. And then Sunday, which we'll get to here in a minute, we're going to get Iowa and Ohio State, right? So this is going to be kind of a big just learning weekend for me, just kind of solidifying where these teams are. And I might play some futures based on those. The Nashville Predators, to speak locally about an NHL team, I just cannot believe anything about them. They're just not only massively inconsistent. The problem's been scoring goals all year, multiple years. However, I want to see them at home because, again, that loss to Detroit or a loss to Columbus, it could be their season's going to be done. But I want to see what kind of fight this team has. We've got MMA, UFC Fight Night Saturday night. What are your thoughts on that? What's the card look like? What's the main event look like? We've got Rosenstruck versus Gain. Way more than I do in regards to those fighters. What do you think?
Well, so like I had the heavyweight, and that is the heavyweight a fight with Agane and Jorenzo Biggie Boy. I love his nickname, Rosenstrike. Yeah. And Rosenstrike is a significant underdog, not quite as significant as Derek the Black Beast Lewis was, but I'm going to go with the underdog again. Biggie Boy's plus 225. And look, his only loss since he came into the UFC was to Francis Ngannou, and Francis Ngannou has been laying waste to everybody in the first 40 seconds for like 3 years now, ever since he lost to Miocic. So I'm going to go with Biggie Boy. I think that's great value at plus 225. And I've seen the totals either at 1.5 rounds with the under offering nice plus 170-ish money, or under 2.5 rounds where it's basically like pick 'em odds like minus 110 or 115 either way. I like the under either way. Either it's the under 2.5 rounds or even the under 1.5 rounds. I actually kind of prefer that to get that good underdog money line value. I haven't studied the rest of the card too well to really speak to any of the other fights, but I like the underdog Rosenstrike and the under in the main event.
I like it.
Oh, and by the way, Alan, I looked up that Auburn Tennessee total for you. It's 141.5.
Ooh, 141.5. It's a lot of points. All right, I'm gonna have to think on that one. That's a lot of points for a Tennessee team that can play good defense and sometimes finds very difficult to put up points.
A lot of times find hard to make.
Yeah, that's a lot of points right there. All right, so Sunday. We'll move into Sunday. So we've got a nice Sunday of mostly basketball, obviously. It's going to start NASCAR, the Dixie Vodka 400. In the NBA, we've got Clippers at Bucks, Grizzlies at Rockets. We got the Warriors at Lakers. College basketball, we've got Villanova at Butler. We've got Iowa at Ohio State. And we've got South Florida at Houston. So, again, we've got some NCAA tournament teams, some high ones that are going to be up there that we can learn a little bit more about. What's standing out to you on Sunday? What do you say?
So let's see what we both think this Iowa at Ohio State line will be. I'm going to say I I'm going to say 5.5 would be my guess. And I tell you, if it's 5 or fewer, I'll be looking to play Ohio State.
Yeah.
Look, Iowa played tough in the first half last night, but then Michigan just took – I think Michigan's the best team in the country. I've decided that in the last 5 days.
They're phenomenal.
Last two performances.
Yeah, I mean, those are two top 10 teams, too, arguably, close top 5 type, right? Like, I mean, Michigan is a phenomenal basketball team. Juwan Howard has done a heck of a job there. I'm going to guess 4.5 on that Iowa and Ohio State. I could see bookmakers wanting to place a low number to kind of get bets going on both sides. But yeah, I'm going to guess 4.5 on that. If we're looking across, NASCAR will start right there. I think it's going to be another good race. Like I said, I'm not the biggest NASCAR fan in the world, but I am a massive NASCAR betting fan. And I'll say this, the couple of drivers that I had this weekend, Alex Bowman at 22-1, I would get in on him. Kevin Harvick, you could get him at 7-1, Kyle Busch 10-1, and Denny Hamlin 9-2. And you could look at Kyle Larson as well. So we've had two, obviously, pretty massive upset drivers win the last 2 weekends. At some point, I think that we're going to see one of these big name guys pull it out. But it's been a lot of fun. Again, if folks out there don't bet on NASCAR, it's fun. Even if you don't really enjoy the sport, you could get in on it, get you a few drivers, and you don't have to watch the entire thing. Jump in with 100 laps left and just watch like the craziness that goes down. So yeah, those are some of the drivers that I'm on. Like you said, Iowa and Ohio State will be all over that game. And who was the other one? Yeah, the Villanova at Butler. Villanova is another team that I want to know more about. I see them hovering plus 1,100, plus 1,200 somewhere, futures odds. They're pretty good, but I need to know more about them as we get into the NCAA tournament where we're betting game by game, right? So I'm excited to see that for sure. And then Houston, South Florida, Houston, I want to see some of that. What you got, buddy?
I was just going to tell you that Butler, they've got 2 of their starters missed. They actually won without them against Seton Hall, who's a bubble team. It was a bad loss for Seton Hall a couple nights ago. It's I'm looking for their names here on the roster here.
No, you're good. And a question in the chat, Chase Elliott, he's 11-2 odds. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Yeah.
No, you're good. No, I was just holding holding up. I think it's Aaron Thompson and Hodges are the 2 starters, but they both have, like I tweeted about it before the Seton Hall game the other day, they both have, good stats, average like 10, 11 points a game. So keep an eye on that before you make that bet. Butler might be without 2 of their starters, but again, they played well and won at home as I want to say they were like a 6-point dog to Seton Hall the other night. I just wanted to point that out on the Bulldogs.
Nice. I like it. So we've got a loaded weekend. It's going to be a good sports weekend. And like we just talked about, it's a good education weekend for a lot of these college basketball teams right before we get into conference play because obviously you see across the board how many these teams are ranked. It's going to be really nice. All right, so let's jump in. All right, Friday Parlay, okay? What do we have? What are you placing your money on tonight? Where can we all of us, hit some money, right? Make some money, start the weekend correct. So it's a game that we play every single Friday. Each one of us are going to place our Friday Parlay of what we have. It could be as many legs as you want. Could be 2 legs. Could be 20 legs. If you want to go some plus 45,000 massive win, you want to pay off your house, at least go for that lottery shot. But yeah, Brian, what you got this weekend? What's your parlay look like?
Okay, let's go with and you know what? I have not done this on the parlay calculator. I'm sorry, so I won't know exactly what it pays out. But before the show's over, I will do it on the parlay calculator. So let's go Utah, but not laying the 7 at Miami. Let's just go money line, which I'm gonna guess -7 is probably around -280 or 300 maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go the Hawks on the money line at OKC with no Horford. They are -5, so I would suspect they'll be about -200, maybe 220 on the money line. And then let's also go with the over on the Hawks game at over 227.5 or 228. The over's on a 9-1 run for the Hawks. And then you know how we talked about the other day or a couple shows back we like to do a parlay where the last leg stands on its own, like, hours after the others. So hopefully you hit the first three, and that way you could potentially set yourself up for a hedge. So let's end the parlay. I know we call it a Friday parlay, but I'm going to have the fourth leg early Saturday afternoon. Either Arkansas -4 or money line if you don't want to worry about covering the 4 at home against LSU. LSU's only 3-5, but straight up and against the spread and 8 road assignments. But LSU beat Arkansas in Baton Rouge, so Arkansas is in revenge mode here. And Arkansas is 14-1 straight up, 9-4-1 against the spread at home, and they are on a 5-0 ATS run and 7-1 against the spread in their last 8, and they've won 8 SEC games in a row. So let me run that back. Utah money line at Miami, Atlanta money line at OKC, Atlanta OKC over 227.5 or 228, and then finish it with either Arkansas -4 or Arkansas money line.
Nice. I like it. And this gives us an opportunity to remind everybody, download the BetMGM app. And today, like we said, BetMGM is offering a 25% college basketball parlay boost token for today only. So once you download that app, once you get your account set up, ready to go, take a look at those college basketball plays of what we talked about that's on the board for today and make some money. BetMGM is trying to get on your side and help you out with that as well. So for me, I'm going with a 2-leg parlay. Nothing crazy. Going to go simple. It's going to pay out plus 264. First one I've got are the Sacramento Kings -1 at the Detroit Pistons. Now, understand, the Sacramento Kings have been an absolute fade team. I think that they've lost 9 straight. They've lost 9 straight, I think, against the spread as well. I mean, they've just been horrific. However, that's not going to last. And I know that that is not great information and data to go off of in terms of placing bets, but the Detroit Pistons haven't covered as a home dog once this season. One.
Yeah, Detroit sucks too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I know the Kings have been going through issues, but Detroit is not, they're not that much better. I'm going to go with the Kings -1. The second play that I have is a late game tonight, West Coast. I'm going to take UC Riverside +3.5 against UC Santa Barbara. You look at Riverside, they've covered 3 of its last 4 against the Gauchos. So that's what I've got. It's a pretty simple parlay. It's only 2 legs, but at plus 264, it's a nice got a return on your investment there. So, yep, those are my 2. Any thoughts? You big Gauchos guy? You a big UC Santa Barbara guy?
Yeah, no, I haven't played any Big West action yet this year, but I'm all for going off the beaten path. I have played a few FAMU MEAC games because I've known the FAMU coach for like 30 years, so I kind of followed them and so I have had I faded them last night and had South Carolina State +10.5, and they lost by 8. So I'll go occasionally off the beaten path to a somewhat low major, but I have not done any Big West games. I see Hunter Morgan asking about Penn State and Purdue tonight, and Penn State's a 1.5-point favorite at home. I think Purdue's the better team, but they're on the road tonight, and Penn State's played pretty good the last few weeks. So, Hunter, that's a pass for me. If I'm not at the bar drinking beers, I might be looking to bet it in game if somebody gets out to a big lead, or might do that at the bar. But right now, it's a pass for me.
All right. I like it. All right. So we're going to move into here, what we call the future is now. Every Friday, we've been taking a look at some futures bets and what's good and where you can find some really strong value, whether it be college basketball, which would pay out in the next 30 to 45 days, or you're looking at college football. You're looking at the NFL, you're looking at Major League Baseball. What we want to do is just identify value that is something different than what most bettors are looking at, what most companies are talking about, and really try to find some value there for you. So, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and start with mine first because I feel this good about it, okay? So, last week, 2 weeks ago, I went with Alabama college football, all right, +300 to win the national championship. I feel good. It's just them as a pick in the field. This week, I'm going to go Major League Baseball, all right? We've got win totals out, all right? I'm going to take the Cincinnati Reds, and I'm going under 81.5 wins, and I'll tell you why, all right? The Cincinnati Reds have hit the under in 8 straight years of their win totals, and it hasn't even been close. They haven't won more than 81.5 games since 2013. Think how long ago 2013 was. Now, That obviously doesn't have anything to do with this year, but I'm riding it. I'm gonna do it. I played it last year. I'm gonna play the Reds again. So take a look. Under 81.5 total wins this season. What do you got, Brian?
You know what? You know what I'm going to have, and I don't know if it's available yet, but whenever the odds for Rookie of the Year come out, I know Trevor Lawrence will be the favorite, and then the other quarterbacks, may be in the mix as well. But I don't know the number yet, but I'm guaranteeing right now I know who wins Rookie of the Year in the NFL this year. You got an idea where I'm going with this, Alan?
I do not. Where are you going with it? Kyle Pitts?
You damn right.
I like it.
But I don't have the number yet, so I'm just scanning the NBA board.
I mean, Kyle Pitts would probably be, if you're looking at an odds for a futures of a tight end, I mean, he's probably going to be at least 2,500, 3,000, somewhere around there. It's going to be a massive number.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean, anything 10-1 or better, I think.
Oh, yeah. You'll definitely find huge value there, especially with him being a tight end. And I wanted to say this. We talked about it Tuesday. We had some questions in regards to NFL draft odds and, bets that could be made. They're already starting to come out.
Oh, they already have.
I saw some of them this week. So obviously that market is going to be huge. You're starting to see them kind of trickle out already. So keep an eye on that. So I like it.
I see them. I'm seeing. Yeah, they do already have them, but I don't see Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that part's going to be tough. I that might be one where they put it out after the draft. So
you can kind of see what team they go to get the odds for it.
Yeah, exactly right. So all right, so our final segment of the day. What we want to do, we call this. Let me leave you with this one piece of betting advice that'll strengthen your game, and it could be from anything. It could be a betting parable. It could be a trend that you're seeing. But what we want to do is not only help everyone that's in the chat, whether it's your first time placing a bet or not, but it's good data for all of us that, that are in the chat. Brian, you that have been betting for a long time, you just find these, nuggets and bits of information that really help. So what do you have for the audience today?
Okay. I am going to go with looking for teams in revenge mode, especially when they lose an important game that they should have won and they get to run it back 48 hours later. And I'm going to tie it in with my pick on Boise State tomorrow, +6 at San Diego State. Boise should have won this game in regulation. Derek Alston, their best player, is going to get drafted. He had 29 points. He was absolutely going off. And they had the ball tied with 28 seconds, and they throw the ball away before they get it to him. Then they go to overtime. I had them +565 in game. I had them +9.5, +11 in game. I had them originally +7, and they end up losing by 12 in overtime.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of situation, that's the kind of game that will eat at them, and they will make sure they get Alston more touches at crunch time. And I think Boise State +6 is the play again tomorrow. And I'm going to say get some of the money line +220 as well, because they are pissed and they got to get this W back. And I think they will do so when they run it back in San Diego tomorrow. The Broncos, Leon Rice's squad, Derek Alston will lead them to victory as a 6-point dog tomorrow.
I like it. I'm gonna ride this with you just because. In Boise State football, Jared Zabransky was my guy. I still go back to that bowl game in Oklahoma or against Oklahoma.
That's your Liberty, baby.
Oh, dude, I honestly think that might have been the most exciting football game that I've ever seen. I'm gonna go with this. So it's not a game or anything. It's just good betting data and good information to track. And really, it's about tracking your bets. So if you're not taking a look every day at what you're betting and just jotting it down. It doesn't have to be anything, extensive. You don't have to, recreate some massive Excel file. But what I do is I do keep just an Excel file every day of the picks that I'm taking, and I break them down by sport. And the reason that I'm saying is this, right? So you look at what you have to do in the sports betting world. If you're just playing standard games, you've got to hit about 52.3% of your bets to break even, considered with juice. Okay. Sharps consider themselves 55%, somewhere around there. So the reason that I say it is to track yourself, know your numbers, know where you're at, know where you sit, see where you're trending in college basketball, in the NBA, in the NHL, and you'll start to see where you're finding your personal value at and numbers that you're hitting, teams that you're hitting consistently, right? So it's important to do that. And again, it doesn't have to be anything extensive, but just keep a track, know where you've been. And I'm telling you, you will find some value in that. And you'll see kind of where you're making your good plays and you'll see where you're losing your money, right? So I do that a lot. The NBA has not been great to me. I don't think it's been great to a lot of people consistently, just because it really is hovering at about that 49 to 51% range on both sides. So it's just really tough to find value. But the NHL, I'm finding incredible value, especially teams on the puck line. If you could get them plus 1.5, there's not only been that, but playing them money line as well. So that's really helped me a lot. So I just want everybody to kind of, just know that. And, try it out, do it for a week and just see the information that you get. You'll just help yourself tremendously. And I'll say this, looking at the chat real quick before we go, Geo Sports asked about Steph Curry over 29.5 tonight. I've got him at 31.5. So I think that that's a good play. Obviously it's a prop bet, so, don't go crazy with it, but yeah, over 29.5. I definitely feel that. So yeah, as we wrap up the show, Brian, any final thoughts?
Oh, man, just get on Boise State tomorrow, Arkansas, FSU, go with the Jazz again tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at Vegas B. Edwards. And as I always say, please help us spread the word on the show. We're really enjoying Austin and Zach and the A to Z gang letting us talk bets and ball games with you Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 Central. And best of luck to everybody this weekend and have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Let's cash some tickets. Thank you, guys.